Oh boy, welcome everybody. So just to quickly explain this, during setup, we were just kind of getting like the screen cropped and something like that. So I run Bucky O Hare, and there's actually two modes to the game. This is what it normally is supposed to look like. You have a very, very, very generous health bar. You can take multiple hits. It is actually very gratuitous how many hits that you can take. So we run hard mode, and what hard mode is everything kills you in a hit. So we will not be using that health bar. But I have a co-commentator with me. Her name is Kat Kuniuchi. Feel free.
Yo.
Hey. And believe it or not, this run actually sucks to talk sometimes. So we'll see how it goes. But originally hard mode wasn't actually probably supposed to be beaten. Hard mode is very much an anti-piracy feature, and it's enabled if you decide to pirate the game. But we'll do 3, 2, 1 and then go. So 3, 2, 1, go. But yeah, hard mode probably wasn't supposed to be beaten, and I'm really curious in how like the developers did stuff back then, because some of the screens are very intentionally horrible and some of them are not. But it's kind of weird to wonder, because I wonder if they like intentionally designed hard mode to be like a one-hit kill around those certain screens, or again, if it was kind of like more of a fluke. But hard mode, everything literally will kill you in a hit. You cannot survive a single point of damage. There's multiple screens where this actually matters quite a bit. And yeah, if you feel like saying anything or maybe introducing yourself, feel free to.
No, I mean, most of the screens look horrible anyway, like either you have a health bar or not, so
yeah,
I'm not sure. Just the game was designed probably to be evil regardless of anti-piracy modes and whatnot.
Yeah, so Green Planet, Kat will talk about the Blue Planet after, but the Green Planet is not super hard. Like, it's pretty straightforward for the most part. You don't really see kind of like those anti-piracy screens coming into effect. There is one at the end of Green Planet. There's a laser section, and it's actually really, really obnoxious to get through. That's probably like the first, quote, anti-piracy screen, where if you stole this game back then, you would probably have a really hard time getting through it. The laser sections are actually quite tight to kind of like maneuver around. So for this waterfall section, these 4 rocks that just fell, that's like my visual cue. There's going to be 2 pairs of rocks that fall pretty soon right here. And that's how I know where I'd like walk through. But this laser section is like the first kind of like anti-piracy screen. This casually, if you pirate the game or you try to do hard mode, is probably one of the hardest screens in Green Planet. And this boss has a 2 cycle. I think I'll chicken out and I'll do the 2.5. He's just not a good boss, but we'll see. If I mash fast enough, he'll die in 2 cycles on the right side of the wall of it. I think we'll take the 2.5. Yeah, we'll take the 2.5. The 2 cycle is actually really annoying. He has 40 health, and mashing is really stupid on him. Okay, you can talk about the Blue Planet, because this is where it starts to talk and suck when it comes to talking.
Well, I mean, there's a lot going on, honestly, in Blue Planet. There's several screens that we'll see shortly that are pretty rough. As long as trying to run the game, not dying goes. There's the first section is not even that bad. It's just a lot of platforming. Here, I think it's where you get introduced to the mechanic where if you destroy blocks, at some point enemies will spawn out of blocks, because that's fun like that. So thank you, game, for this incredible feature. There's a lot of, there's toads in the game, so it was just fair that they introduce even like battle toad snake, because why not? So it's fun. The true horror of this planet is probably the middle section, which is the iceberg section, which we will see briefly. And it's a quite messy section in the sense that everything starts spawning at you apparently randomly, but if you really want to be careful and look at it in a more attentive way, you will see that everything that spawns at you is not exactly random. These toads that will just shoot at you are actually pattern based, we can say. So if you try to practice and do always the same thing, all the time the same thing, you will notice how toads will always spawn from the same exact spot and they will shoot at the same exact time. So as long as practice goes, it's tricky either way, but you really want to probably try to figure out patterns first and go along with it. In addition to that, if that wasn't horrible already enough, you have this very fun guy driving the airplane, which will drop bombs on the iceberg, making it tricking it progressively to the point it becomes a tiny little platform on which to stand at the very end, which doesn't exactly make things any easier. So in the meantime, while you're shooting toads and trying not to die and all that stuff, you also had to worry about the airplane shooting bombs and trying to
dude, okay.
off.
Three times. The one thing also on this iceberg section that absolutely sucks is your jump input gets eaten. And
yeah, that's fun too.
Yeah, so 3 times now my jump has been eaten, and
yeah, I've actually noticed that, but it's silly. It's probably due to the fact that if you notice that, like the iceberg goes slightly up and down continuously, so probably that kind of slight movement contributes to making you lose the inputs both when it comes to jumping and when it comes to ducking. Or that's what I've noticed anyway, just playing through it a little bit.
Yeah,
but it's quite annoying because it's everything is so tight, and even missing one input for a few frames is actually crucial most of the time.
No, it's just immediate death. Like you can't recover.
Yeah, there's no recovery.
Well, we're out of there, thankfully. That is the hardest screen I think in the entire run.
No, easily.
Yeah, I remember Cypher a long time ago talking about it. There's like people that were blind racing it, and it took them like 3 or 4 hours just to get through that screen alone.
Yeah, honestly, that doesn't surprise me at all.
It's easily the worst screen in the entire Blue Planet. It's easily the worst screen in all of pretty much Bucky. But the inputs being eaten there are actually a really big deal. Like 3 times my jump was eaten there, and it was pretty painful.
Yeah, it's not just annoying, it's literally like deadly for the most part.
It is. Like you just wait slowly to die.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing else that you can do.
Yeah, not much, honestly.
So this Gator guy, he has a disgustingly huge amount of health. He has 160. It's actually the most in the entire game. And every 4th missile, you can just stand right here and he won't hit you. And every 6th missile, he'll try to freeze the ground. And the exception to that is his first cycle. So he has a ridiculously high amount of health. For comparison, the first boss has 40. There's no extra lives in this. There is extra lives, but they're like medallions.
Yeah, you collect them throughout the game.
Yeah. So
I'm gonna jump in for a couple of quick donations. We have a $5 donation from me, Matt Mackey. It says good luck, Dave.
Thanks a lot.
And mashing hype.
Yeah, mashing in this game.
And we also have a $20 anonymous donation. Thank you.
Alright, well, thank you. Yeah, no, mashing in this game is both non-existent and very existent. Like, it's very prominent in 3 boss fights, but after that, why we do the Blue Planet second is actually Jenny. And we do Jenny because you'll see in a second. Well, not a second, but pretty close anyway. At the end of this screen, or not this screen, at the end of this planet, you'll see why Jenny is so important to the run and why you prioritize picking her up. But we have to do Green Planet first because those ice blocks that this little robot was shooting, he's the only one in the entire game that can destroy ice. Everybody else can't do it, so we actually need him first.
I actually didn't know that.
Yeah, it's really weird. Like, if you actually go to the Blue Planet without Blinky, it's just a soft lock. You just have the game over.
Interesting.
Yeah. Like, they give you freedom of choice, but you don't actually have any choice there. It's like Blinky is 100% mandatory. So, coming up in the Red Planet, ironically, if you ever pirated this game back then, the Red Planet doesn't really change much between hard mode and normal. So if you wanted to steal this game, you know, like way back in the 1990s, it doesn't really change much. Like, there's not really any kind of like anti-piracy screens in the Red Planet. There is a toad coming up that I am actually terrified of. It's not this guy. This guy, okay. He was nice. But in terms of the run, there is the first intentional or would-be intentional death here. There's 2 deaths that I will be taking. Both are actually skipping auto-scrollers that are like over a minute long. And the first one is here. So we got it. So if you die and your body is transitioned into the next screen on like a moving object, so in that case the bowler, you actually skip auto-scrollers, which were quite long in this game. That skipped probably over a minute. And this is one of 2 intentional deaths. The next one is in the yellow planet. So speaking of the yellow planet, in my opinion, this might be one of the hardest screens, I think, in the entire game. And there's 3 in a row. This one right here, these little worms that like pop out of these craters, you have about a 2 or 3 frame window, I think, to like control their movement. If you do it too fast or too slow, it doesn't work. And this screen coming up here is probably one of the hardest in the entire game to do in one cycle. If you don't stop at all, like you're multi-switching different characters to avoid things like their hitboxes, and you're really using the different ranges of like all the guns and stuff like that. And then this one is also fairly hard because you have these ships that spawn and they shoot you really, really, really easily. It's very easy for this ship to like get in front of your face and kill you. So back to back to back, all 3 of those screens are really annoying. And we death the beast again. So we skip another probably over a minute worth of auto-scrollers. And if that's not annoying enough, we have a very specific, precise setup right here. I think it's like 3 pixels that Jenny has to stand. It's not quite pixel perfect, but it's pretty close. But if you misalign that, you basically die. So it's actually very, very tight there.
Yeah, mostly because I think you're completely locked when Jenny's ball floats around, so there's not much you can do about that.
Correct. You can't move away. She's locked into place. So we have Cell coming up, which is a really weird mixture. I would say Cell is a split. It's not hard, but at the same time, there's like a couple really nasty things in this level. But for the most part, Cell is kind of one of the easier splits, I would say. But then you're paid back in spades. Oops. Blinky, now is not the time for flying. Blinky's not supposed to fly there. You know what? Robots need to have fun. He does, right? Robots need to have fun too. Whoa! Bucky's neck like twisted. I've never seen that before. So Bucky has no spine confirmed.
Alien rabbit confirmed.
Yeah.
Having no spine.
Actual alien. So
interesting biology.
Clearly. So those 3 lasers, skipping them is one of the hardest unnecessary things I think in the entire game. Skipping that section is really difficult. And here we have another 2 or 3 frame window to jump through this laser. And mashing on this fight sucks. So thankfully we get Jenny right after this and we don't have to mash again. But this boss fight is notoriously bad because the hitboxes on those lasers are like gigantic. She actually had a little bit of help there. No Jenny death, no Jenny death. Yeah, it's pretty hard. Alright, we'll make Blinky fly again. Hey! Alright. So in terms of stupid things, this is where it kind of like deviates. The screen coming up, or I guess not quite, but one of the screens coming up has, I think, like 2 of the hardest jumps back to back in the game. You have to kind of like float in a weird way over one of them, but like over one of these blocks. So it's after this next screen. There's another boss fight. But Jenny's orb does something like 3 damage every 2 seconds, so that's why she's like in every single boss fight. You just can't outdamage that with any character, no matter what. But yeah, these next upcoming screens after this next transition have two of the more annoying jumps in the entire game, I think. One, you have to like specifically land halfway off the block and then fly over to avoid dying. And then another one is just a very tight jump across a gap. So here's our first one. Oh, okay, that's good. And then the second one right after, that's good. So I'm actually quite happy. Dying there is not cool. Thank you, please. And if you have any donations, now is a good time because we have a 3-pixel window to set up this auto-scroller and we can just wait. This is one of the only downtimes in the entire run.
Auto-scrollers are perfect times for donations, and this is no different. We have a $20 donation from Dumple that says, this is a perfectly cromulent donation towards the Simpsons character incentive. Good luck, L-Rock. And that is the run that is coming up next, folks. And there is still time. There is still times to donate towards which Simpsons arcade character you would like. Bart has a slight lead, but it's only by $5. You can make an impact right now with your donation for the Simpsons character. L-Rock will be running next.
Cool. Thank you for that. So, as I was saying, this is an auto-scroller. Unfortunately, this is the only auto-scroller. There was 2 other auto-scrollers that through death abuse you can skip. But for some reason, you can't do that here, which is kind of a shame, because this is the longest auto-scroller in the entire game. I think
maybe something at some point will come up.
I don't know, because like,
don't know.
Hopefully at some point. Because the main way that you obviously death warp is like your body has to be carried somehow into the next screen, but I don't think it's possible in the previous screen. There's something with that it like literally wrong warps you. But the auto scroller is actually less imitating than it looks like. These spikes, as they kind of like go into the ground, they lose their hitbox actually pretty quickly. So they're not as imitating as they look. You can actually walk on like half-covered spikes and not die. You don't really have to switch between blink every shot. That's just like an old habit of mine to reduce the hitbox. But it's perfectly safe to use Bucky the entire time and not die. So in this game, every time that you kill a boss, you lose control immediately. And this is the only boss fight that you actually lose control, but you can still have control here. So it's actually really important because the game remembers the character that you are. And this is the only time that we have a choice, or chance rather, to change a character leading into the next screen. So we actually want to be Bucky leading into the next screen. But usually you're locked into whatever character that you killed the boss with. So alright, so this screen coming up, this whole section, first of all, we need to duck immediately. That manipulates that guy to jump over us. And we have another guy that we just run through, just like complete Rambo style. He'll leave us alone. So coming up, there's a bug section. If you want to explain that, that also is a place that sucks for me.
No, I don't know how to explain the bug section. You can just say that at some point you wait.
Lots of bugs. There's lots of bugs.
Well, I mean, there's lots of bugs. So if you don't like bugs, probably that's the right time to look away and just like probably get a drink or do something else. Because there's a lot of them.
Yeah.
All sorts of bugs, all sorts of sizes of bugs. So, okay.
So the
I mean, there's a lot of waiting as far as I can see, and there's a lot of cycling that you want to respect. Otherwise, bugs will just use their claws to kill you.
Right there. This is one of the worst deaths in the game. The first jump in that screen was actually pixel perfect, I believe. So it's actually
the very first one, or
yeah,
every other.
Oops,
okay.
I hit the roof. Yeah, the very first jump over like that guy that's hiding in the ground is pixel perfect. I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
So these slugs, we don't want them to attach on our. If they attach on our head, we actually lose like 50% of our jumping. But
they look cute, so they can do that.
50% of our speed too. That's okay. This one cycle too is actually really annoying with Willy. I'm pretty sure almost a frame perfect laser there. I'll try for it again. The first laser isn't bad, but the second laser is very, very difficult to get. But the alternative is like waiting on that section. You can start to see where hard mode comes into place. Okay, there we go. That's a little bit better. But the thing about this game is I wouldn't necessarily say like it's marathon safe in the sense that there's like safe things that you could do all over the place. Because if you take safe strats everywhere, it's probably going to be like a really long time before you complete a run. So you just kind of have to go for like basically the world record strats, which are by default. Callum really did a number on this game. The world record holder is Callum Bull, and his record is insane. He really pushed it down like arguably to the frame. So where it says life at the bottom, there's E. I want basically Jenny to be standing in between that E with her feet. Because if you're in the middle, you won't get killed. But if you're like slightly misaligned, you'll literally get killed when the missiles shoot in the second phase there. If you're too far left or too far right, one of the missiles will kill you. Okay, so we have Tanker next. This is one of, I think, the hardest splits in the entire game. It's actually really hard to be consistent and not die everywhere. That jump was probably one of the hardest in the game, so I'm glad that I kind of got that first try. I do not like that jump. It is a very scary jump. Apparently, Deadeye wants to enjoy scenery. He felt like admiring that wall. Okay, apparently he really wants to look at this wall too.
Dude, it's yellow and black, like...
I mean, you don't see walls like that every day.
Yeah.
But yeah, Deadeye, we use him in this section because he can cling to walls, as you just saw. And this screen in particular isn't completely scary. Like, there's nothing inherently super hard about this screen. But this screen in general is probably one of the worst in the entire game because it's actually, I think, one of the longest in the entire game. So if at any point you die, you literally lose like probably close to a minute just dying on this screen. And it leads into a 2-pixel window, which we'll try for, and we got it. So jumping over that robot is like a 2 or 3 pixel window. It's pretty annoying to do, but I'm glad that we got that one too. We got crushed. This is why it's sometimes hard to talk and play this one. Okay. And then we die on the 2-pixel window again. So everything is taken away from us. Alright, now we went from getting the 2-pixel jump to failing the 2-pixel jump to not being able to do the 2-pixel jump. This is a great game.
No, that's for manipulation. I mean, it's legit.
Everything I know is taken away. But yeah, this is why this game is crazy sometimes. So if you can walk over... dang, dude. If you can walk over that bar, it's actually sub-pixel right here. Normally you have to wait on that jump. But as I was saying, like, Tanker is probably one of the worst screens in the entire game, or the worst splits in the entire game. There's a lot of nonsense in this whole split. And it's really hard, I think, to talk through and then go through. This jump right here, if you don't do it, this is one of the only safe strats that I do. This jump, like, actually doing it the world record way that Callum does it is insane. And these rooms right here are basically to the frame. Like, you have to be very precise if you want to skip all these cycles and get through on one cycle. So mashing here is really a thing. You have to kill both of those guys and shoot 6 shots into them before the room turns. This room is actually really easy. You just wait. This is one of the easiest rooms probably in the entire game. And then every single time that I'm jumping and shooting, or shooting with Willy, you have to jump and shoot at the same time. Otherwise you cannot kill both toads at the same time and you'll get killed. So here is one of the worst screens. You can also explain this one if you feel like it, because I hate this screen.
Sure. No, this is... Well, the point is that we don't know how to explain what happens in the screen.
That's why.
So, yeah, you will just randomly get killed by jumping a ledge of monkeys. We don't even know how to define those beings right now. But they will spawn, like, supposedly randomly, right from the seeding. But the annoying part is that they will literally target you in a very cold-blooded manner, so there's not much you can do about it. Once they decide to just jump on your head, then you're just doomed. Most of the time they will target you right as you're jumping, so at that point you're just literally hitting your head against the very top part of the seating, but at the same time a monkey can spawn in your head, so there's not much you can do about that for sure. it's just an annoying part overall. But there's not much countering. You just have to hope that a monkey decides that they don't want to terminate your existence in this game, and hope for that.
That's unfortunate. There's a bad pattern that you can get on this tanker thing, and it literally shot into me. So there's not really
when
anything.
That's done, there's not much you can do, because like again, you're locked into the Jenny item, so there's no way you can get rid of the orb fast enough so that you can move away from the shot.
No.
So once that machine thing decides to shoot downwards, you're basically already dead. There's nothing you can do about it. You just have to hope for a good pattern.
Yeah, no, you're literally stuck there. Yeah, those monkey things are probably one of the worst things in the entire game, because as Kat was saying, like, they automatically track on you when they fall, and they can also shoot, and that's the other problem too, is like if you keep it alive, it shoots at randoms and they spawn at random in triples, so there is an element there that's very, very unpredictable. In otherwise a pretty friendly game, like there's not a lot of RNG or like pseudo RNG in this game, but I speak too soon, because coming up is, I think, like one of the worst things in the entire game.
Yeah, they literally left all the randomness in the RNG of the game right at the end, just to make things even easier for you, because why not, right?
Yeah. Coming up, I actually really want to be careful and kind of like focus on this part. There's no checkpoint yet. This is one of the worst deaths you can take in this entire run, is on this screen. The checkpoint is like probably like 55 seconds in or something like that. It is absolutely horrible. So I'll tell you when the checkpoint passes. But in particular, these ships, they automatically spawn. So here's your checkpoint right there, finally. That's the worst part of this entire run in terms of deaths that can cost the most time. But those little green ships, they're actually really annoying, because you have to be in a very specific way to manipulate their shots. They basically spawn on screen, and then with a slight delay, their shots also track you. But in normal mode, it doesn't matter, because you can just tank the shots and keep going. But in hard mode, it really reduces the mobility that you have to maneuver around everything. So you see, like, I wait down here so all their shots go that way. I wait up here so all their shots go up. But there's like a couple of screens where it gets really, really tight, and you have to like really not preemptively move, otherwise you get killed. So talking about RNG, going into this next thing, this is the worst dude in the entire run, I think. So he's got a pseudo RNG element to him. He's kind of like this weird machine, I don't know what to call him, but he's got basically a top part and a bottom part. And once you kill the top and the bottom part, he starts kind of like spinning uncontrollably. And there's your first kind of like notion of RNG, because once he breaks apart, you don't know if he's going to fly down or if he's going to fly high. And then the second part that's kind of really annoying about this boss fight is you can start seeing like he's spinning uncontrollably and he's shooting. We don't know, like we know that he's going to shoot. We know that at any given time you can have 3 shots on the screen, but how he shoots is also random. So now we just have to survive and not get killed. And sometimes it's like he gives you impossible patterns where you get like boxed into a wall or something like that. But easily doing this fast and respecting also, because like Willie has a gigantically fat head. His hitbox is not friendly for this at all. The hitbox is actually okay. We're good. All right, crisis averted. But stuff like that, like, and the death here also is like 40 seconds at a time, so it's very painful. But yeah, this is not a cool section. This is one of the worst parts in the entire game. But then it doesn't get easier, because we have probably a pixel perfect quick kill on this ship coming up too, which is great.
Yeah, this is even better, honestly.
Yeah. So the ship actually has a weird health. You want to kill these 2 turrets, or ideally you want to kill at least 2 turrets, I should say. You don't really have a time to kill more than 2. But if you fail the ship quick kill, having 3 turrets alive is probably impossible to actually survive on hard mode. It is impossible. But that health isn't shared by this tank thing. So we'll try for this, because it's pixel perfect and horrible. I think... Willie, your fat head, please. Okay, we got it. Alright, Willie's gigantic head almost impeded progress there, but I'm pretty sure the window to do that is either pixel perfect or 2 pixels. It's very, very tight. But that saves like over a minute if you get that kill. It is absolutely crucial in a run now.
Yep.
And we have the final boss coming up, which is actually the easiest part of this stage. He's got a very predictable pattern. He'll always move in the same way, and you can control like these little watermelon things, whatever he's throwing, based on Bucky's like Y or X position when he's throwing them. So we want to make him throw it always to the left if he's going to the left, and then to the right, obviously, if he's going to the right. So he's got a pretty easy pattern. Callum's actual record, he switches between like all the characters. It's actually pretty crazy to see. So that one we wanted him to throw it to the left, but that's not that bad. And then from here, he should be dead pretty soon. He's holding on a little bit. Die, dude! Okay, there we go. So time is now. So,
GG.
Thank you. Sub 30 was kind of like the main goal. So we'll take that for sure, because this game is absolutely insane. It's extremely, extremely hard to like not die and lose like 30 or 40 seconds at a time. So I will take that. Definitely insane though.
It's definitely brutal as is, but it's even more brutal in a marathon setting. So
yeah, like I'm at a point now where I obviously can't take a death. I just have to risk out on every death. But
yeah.
But no, if anybody wants to jump in, feel free. If not, thank you guys definitely for having us. Yeah, that's the big appeal, Shasta. Like that's the thing that I like the most about that, is you're not supposed to beat this, I think, when it comes to hard mode. Like anti-piracy mode really creates like this level of adrenaline when you're running it that's just not matched by anything else. Because as you saw at the beginning, like you have a very, very complementary health bar that's very functional and it helps out. But when you take that all away, like there's an amazing amount of ways that you can die in this game. So, but I'm definitely glad that there was some.
Thank you for your run, Junkyard Dave. What a great run!
I appreciate that, lad.
NES hard plus one hit deaths. You know, it's that kind of game.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. I really hope more people run this. Like if anything, please be crazy. Please run it. I really hope more people pick it up. But I'll hold my breath. Maybe that'll happen someday. But believe it or not, this one's not a popular one to run. So, but yeah.
Well, folks, let's hear it for Dave in the chat. GG's all around. What a run, folks! And we have more coming up. We are just getting started. We enter here at 1 o'clock in California time, folks. So thank you, everyone, for donating during the run. We have some great ones coming up. We still have some incentives available for you right now. My donation went towards the Ring Fit Adventure Runner Camp. Folks, that just sounds awesome. Let's make that happen. We still have quite a few. We got a little bit more than $400 that needs to be raised for that to happen. So let's do it. Let's get that incentive there. And more importantly, coming up right around the corner, L Rock is getting ready right now for the Simpsons arcade game character choice, and that incentive is still available. Marge is ahead by just a little bit, though. You can make your voice heard. If you want to see Bart, Lisa, Homer, or Marge, you can make your character choice known and heard right now if you donate before L Rock's run happens. They are getting everything ready. On deck, as you can see on screen, we have Jorf with Buster and Aqualis. Of course, the pronunciation is always fun. And then a little bit later after that, we have Rogue Link running Minute. Well, we have a moment to get a little bit to tell you about what Direct Relief is doing for COVID-19 relief. And Direct Relief is coordinating with public health authorities, nonprofit organizations, and businesses in the U.S. and globally to provide personal protective equipment and essential medical items to health workers responding to coronavirus. Your donation, one for one, every single dollar you donate goes towards Direct Relief's efforts. 100%. Really awesome, really great cause. And just knowing that 100% of your donation goes towards that cause is great. In the U.S., Direct Relief is delivering protective masks along with exam gloves, isolation gowns, and other protective gear to healthcare organizations across the country. Direct Relief is also staging personal protective equipment with regional response agencies across the world, including the Caribbean and South America through the Pan American Health Organization. We are currently sitting at $3,242 raised. Thank you, everyone, for making that happen. That is awesome. Just around the corner. Let's make it $3,300 before Simpsons starts, or maybe even towards the end of the Simpsons run. Let's get the $3,300 before the Simpsons ends. Go give Mr. Burns the business. Absolutely. We have just about 8 hours and 26 minutes left for the Super Mario 64 incentive. That is the Dance Pad Runner Cam incentive. If you'd like to see the Dance Pad Runner Cam incentive for Super Mario 64, you can donate towards that as well. There are many different ways for you to donate. If you're in the chat, just feel free to click that link there. Also in the panels, there's a donate button, and the money you donate goes directly towards the charity. 1-to-1, 100% of your donation goes towards Direct Relief's efforts in the COVID-19 relief. Shasta is correct. You still have time to snipe which character you want to see run on the Simpsons arcade game. Marge is ahead right now by $15. $15. All you got to do is donate $15 and you can call this thing right now. Or maybe you want to see Lisa. Get in there. You can make that happen. Or Homer. Homer's available as well. There was a question in the chat earlier, favorite Simpsons character. I would definitely say for me it's Homer, but Marge is so much fun to play this video game with, so I donated towards Marge.